Shame is not a feeling you have. Shame is a feeling that actually has you. Well, when you think about it, emotions move through you all the time, but shame is something that fundamentally makes you want to cover, to hide, to not be here. The word shame actually originally means to cover, to hide, to conceal, right? So it's really about not being okay as who you are. And that's where it's different from guilt. Sometimes we get confused. Guilt is about an action. You did something wrong, and the impulse here is to actually fix that, right? To calibrate your behavior. Shame, on the other hand, says you are wrong for who you are, right? You're not okay as who you are. And it goes through all kinds of levels of your operating system, right? There's the body, of course, which is where a lot of us have shame, and even some of the most perfectly sculpted, beautiful bodies that I've met, dancers, Hollywood actors, etc., even they had something about their body where they're like, oh, I'm not okay, right? Even they had shame around their body. Right? Then there's the emotional shame, right? You're not supposed to cry, right? Little boys don't cry or don't cry in the office and show your female weakness, right? Those kind of ways where we are regulating with the emotions we're allowed to have, right? And of course, thinking, right? When you think about, when you talk about late night hosts, for example, everybody's right? Nobody's willing to say, I don't know, right? Because we're supposed to know. And especially if you're intelligent, then you're supposed to really know. And to say, I don't know, makes you wrong. Right? And also, of course, in a relational space, right, where some people think that they're socially awkward. I am wrong. I'm not able to talk to people. I'm not able to be in society, be with other people. And then there's a level of expression, right? You're too crazy, too much, too freaky. Don't do that. Be a little bit more normal, right? Those kind of things and ways in which we cover ourselves and cover our own self-expression. Or our vision, right? When we're called, oh, you're such an idealist, right? You're thinking about some future that's totally impossible. Bah, that couldn't be. You're wrong, right? You're wrong as who you are, right? And not even the agency as such, right? Meaning that, who am I to do this, right? Who am I to be different from other people, right? And so we have shame, and shame actually has us captured and trapped in these different ways in which we hold ourselves back. Now, shame is not always bad, right? Shame can actually be a very helpful social signal, right? If you're showing up in a way that's not appropriate or across someone's boundaries, right? Shame is actually telling you, hey, back off, do something different, recalibrate as how you're showing up, right? But then there's shame as a wound, right? Where somebody at some point told you something about yourself and you've now internalized that voice, right? Your inner big brother, right? Telling you that you're not okay. Right? And this becomes difficult when we actually keep ourselves back from being fully ourselves, right? Simply because someone at some point told us we were not okay. And then there's a third form, which is really the weaponized form of shame, which is social control, right? Man macht das nicht in German. Like, this is not how you do things around here. And if you've ever walked down the street in Germany and done something wrong, you kind of get this look of shame from people, right? This is not how we do things around here. You are wrong. Don't be that way. Right? So, but all three have different ways of dealing with it, right? If it's just a social signal, then it's a matter of saying, cool, calibrate, move on, right? If it's a wound, then it's about really looking into how can I heal that? How can I heal my own, keeping myself back? And finally, if it's social control, then it's about standing up, right? And really figuring out how can we do things differently here so that we can be ourselves, be with each other fully. So I'm inviting you to think about when you feel shame, and when you feel shame, what is it that kind of shame is telling you, right? What kind of shame is it? And depending on that, recalibrate, and don't become shameless, of course. That's really going back to being the impulsive self rather than the socialized self, because that's the level it lives on, right? It's your socialized self. It's who you're supposed to be, right? Also connected to your self-esteem, your name, distinctions, the mental level, right? It's that part where we're being controlled and to who we're supposed to be. So if it's that, find a way to heal that, find a way to come back to yourself so they can be fully yourself. And if you're noticing shame in your environment where people are being shamed, right, inappropriately, it's time to stand up for each other, because we do get to figure out how to move above shame so we can be shame literate and know how to deal with that signal rather than becoming its victims.